Hello, Steve White or TrekBoy89 for Steve Arts 89. Just watched Picard first episode. I just want to give my reflections of it. My first impression, my first reaction. I was going to watch a bunch of other reviews and interview things before I did a proper review, but I just want to get my first reaction out now. My main concern with this show was that Patrick Stewart, who was leading the show basically, um, wanted the show to reflect current politics, and he seemed to think the Federation should reflect today's political climate, which it shouldn't, because it's 400 years in the future and we have moved past all the rubbish that we are dealing with today. So that was my main concern, that he didn't seem to get the idea of Gene's vision, that we have evolved, we have moved forward, and that the idea that we'd still be stuck in the same sort of problems that we have today. Now, reflecting it in allegory or in some alien culture or some future situation that is sort of different, that would work. But the idea that Starfleet would regress is what concerns me now. I've watched the episode, and this does appear to have happened to a certain extent. Now, basically, synthetic life forms have been experimented with. They have rebelled. They have attacked Mars. Mars is permanently damaged, and Earth has become suddenly afraid of androids and banned them, and people have become more isolationist. Now, this is the same thing that happened in Enterprise. And they overcame that. They had the wonderful Peter Weller playing the big bad in that, and it was a road bump on the way to the Federation. They overcame it. Now this seems to be a step backwards. Now, assuming that they sort it out and overcome it and continue on, that's fine. But what I have heard is that this is the beginning of the decline of the Federation, and that they will just keep going until they're gone, and then we will have the future of Discovery Season 3, where the Federation was depleted down to a few members, and then they collapsed. Now, if that is where this is going, then I have a huge problem with the show, and with what they're doing with Gene Roddenberry's vision and the Star Trek future. If this is just a road bump like in Enterprise, then yes, it's an important lesson we need to learn, blah, 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 I'm fine. So this could go either way. Now, the cynical side would assume it's going to go the wrong way and it's going to line up with Discovery because that's the worst possible scenario. The optimist in me wants to see Picard resolve this situation and get Earth back on track, and stop them from being afraid of androids and technology and the future and everything. So that's my main concern. And obviously we don't know from one episode where this is going to go, and that direction could change. Now, as far as I know, all these episodes have been filmed. Season 2 is planned or in consideration. So they could change it in Season 2 if they have made this mistake of having the Federation basically in decline and about to collapse. They can fix that, they can undo that, and even if this series goes with that, they can still undo it. We don't have to have the future of Discovery, which is still unclear what happened to the Federation. It just appears to be gone, and it appears to be a memory, and there appears to be just be a hologram talking about it. But this is just a small part from a preview. It's very hard to know exactly what's going to happen in Season 3. There's no point speculating, getting upset about that, because it doesn't exist yet. Now, the show itself is well made. Some of the writing's a little questionable. There's a few things that someone pointed out, why do they keep just beaming down people to attack Daj? Why don't they just beam Daj up? Or that in the 24th century there must be better ways to capture an android or a human or a humanoid android or whatever she is, than just beaming people down with rifles to attack her. And then they destroy her anyway. And I mean, spoilers, she dies. A Romulan, who the assassins appear to all be Romulans, spits something on her, and her weapon explodes, and she bursts into fire, and it's covered up. Picard is returned back to the vineyard, and he's determined to work out what happened to her and save what he now has discovered is her twin. So it's better than I thought. There's only a few little problems. The main problem for me is where they're going with the Federation, and that's a big overarching issue. The individual problems are very small. I mean, the production is beautiful. It's well done. I didn't see any flaws. I heard some people criticizing some of the editing and things and the pace. I didn't really get any sense of anything off with the show at all. I mean, yes, that line about lightning seeking the ground is a bit over the top. And I'm not bothered by the mystery surrounding Daj. I'm fine with that. And so far as the possibility, the theory of positronic cloning from positronic neuron from data, and that somehow that could be done, and what that means, and the implications that they couldn't recreate Sung's work, and the only way to actually recreate it is to reproduce it by somehow cloning Data's neurons, which would include his memory, and like a person, like DNA. That does seem a little ridiculous, but in the show it is just theory at this point. They're just talking about it. So I'm sure there's going to be a better explanation for Daj and how they've dealt with that or advanced that than just what Picard and the Doctor have theorized just from a brief first off conversation at the Daystrom Institute. So one of the other good signs is we see a lot of licensed Star Trek ships and designs from the Next Generation in Picard's little storage area, basically. He goes and finds a painting that Data did of Daj that he gifted him. He did 2 of them, and he seemed to have some sort of vision of the future, his daughters, and they appear to be his daughters in some way. They are the advancement of the technology, whether they are directly linked to him or whether they are just coming from all of that and thereby sort of symbolically his daughters, or literally, it's unclear. So I don't want to get into all the story details and everything. I mean, we start off with a vision of the Enterprise. He's still haunted by Data and everything that happened. We see him be interviewed by a news service, which seems to be have an agenda. And there is this anti-synth and anti-Romulan sentiment that at least is in some part of the culture that we are seeing through this news broadcast. Whether that represents the whole of the Federation and the direction the Federation's going in is unclear. Basically, this girl just shows up, and Picard is trying to work out where she's from. She appears to be some descendant of Data, related to Data, and of course he immediately feels a paternal desire to protect her and work out what's happening with her. So that's sort of understandable. He sort of wants to make amends for so many things, so he's kind of reaching for something. So it all kind of works. Patrick Stewart does a good job of the acting. There's no issues with the acting, no real issues with the effects. The production design is a little bit grounded on Earth. They've filmed in a lot of real locations. There's some great shots, and then some that very much just look like today. But they've got to save some money on the budget, so you can forgive them for that. So overall, I'm okay with it. My only real issue is where they're going to go with the Federation. If they're going in just to just Discovery's future and just setting that up, and they just use Picard to set up Discovery's future, I'm going to be really bothered by that. But if they just are discovering a problem that needs to be resolved, a problem in society in the future that Picard is going to help to resolve and overcome, then I'm fine with it. So the series may not be as grim as I thought, but I still am very worried by the intention behind it, that Patrick Stewart wants this to be a reflection of today. Now, we can talk about today through Star Trek's future, but we can't make Star Trek's future today, our problems of today. We can't do that. If they do that, then they are totally destroying Gene's vision, and it's a travesty. But will they do that? I don't know. So that's where we're at. We're up one episode. There's no way of knowing exactly where they're going to go with it. But that's my reflection. It was 44 minutes. I was okay with it. But I'm just worried in general, big picture, where they're going. So I'm just going to leave that there. And I guess I'll do a proper review later. This is just my reaction. I just wanted to just get that out. Thanks. Feel free to share, like, comment, let me know what you thought. I'm going to go watch everyone else's reviews and see what people think, and probably do a more detailed review, more about the story and stuff later on. Thanks, bye.